The U.S. Navy has deployed 2 nuclear forces into the South China Sea. The U.S. Navy has deployed 2 diesel-powered aircraft carriers, USS Nimitz and USS Ronald Reagan, to conduct exercises in the South China Sea, stockpiling energy in Beijing supported by a front equipped by India on the actual control line in Ladakh. The U.S. supercarrier launches across the Strait of Luzon, the strait between Taiwan and the island of Luzon in the Philippines, which connects the Philippine Sea to the South China Sea. The U.S. deployment came after the Beijing People's Liberation Army Navy conducted a contested military exercise, provoking a sharp reaction from neighboring countries and Washington. The U.S. Navy said its operations in the South China Sea were designed to support a free and open Indo-Pacific. The aim is to show clear signals to our partners and allies about our support for security in the region, said Rear Admiral George M. Wickoff, commander of the strike group led by USS Ronald Reagan for The Wall Street Journal, who first reported the training. China claims 90% of the South China Sea crosses trade of around $3 trillion every year. During the last round, Beijing has advanced to build man-made islands and build military installations, including military-grade airfields in several areas. Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam also claim most of the South China Sea, making many of the 21 agreements involving aggressive Beijing. For now, the most serious crisis is on the India-China border, where troops of the 2 countries are deadlocked at some point in Ladakh. India has deployed its troops along with the LAC along the 1,597 kilometers along the border in East Ladakh, which is prepared for all purposes. But the LAC is not the only part of the Chinese border where it managed to bulldoze roads to expand its territory. China's military training in disputed battles has been sharply criticized by its neighbors. The Philippines and Vietnam last week talked about insecurity in Southeast Asia at an ASEAN event last Friday amid belief that China is using the coronavirus pandemic cover to improve its results on disputed travel. The Chinese Navy's PLA had begun a 5-day military exercise on July 1, prompting Vietnam to request an official protest from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Chinese exercises were held near the Paracel Islands claimed by Vietnam and the Philippines. In its strongest decision, the Philippines said the exercise was held at the invitation requested by Vietnam. If the exercise extends to the Philippines, China is warned that it will meet with the toughest, diplomatic and whatever response is appropriate, the Philippine Foreign Ministry said in an agreement, according to AP News Agency. The Philippines has a defense cooperation pact with the U.S. U.S. naval exercises are carried out every day after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo expressed solidarity with his neighbor in China. The PRC People's Republic of China military training on disputed ships in the South China Sea is very provocative. We claim that Beijing has rejected the law. Pompa tweeted on Friday. Pompeo has been blatant in his criticism of Chinese expansionist discussions, discussing Beijing as an evil actor because it enhances conversations with India and other countries. Last month, he underlined the extent to which the U.S. mobilized its massive military power with the most determined determination to control China. Shinzo Abe from Japan, who had to restore relations with China until a few months ago, will cancel a state visit by Xi Jinping, which has been postponed since April this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Japan, which has increased its placement around the Senkaku Islands, which is of Chinese concern, has been disappointed with Beijing over the practice of sending its ships to the Senkaku Islands. Since April this year, Japan has seen 67 Chinese Coast Guard ships near the islands in the East China Sea. The 8 uninhabited islands and rocks in the East China Sea controlled by Japan have a total area of about 7 square kilometers and are located northeast of Taiwan and east of mainland China, which are important in relation to important shipping lanes and close to potential oil and gas reserves.